Following in their parents' footsteps, the boys' next step was to do the circuits around Ireland, and it was not long before the group started making headlines.
Those moments when we were going on stage, we were in our own minds, I guess, we were Thin Lizzy at that point. So, all our dreams were being fulfilled at that point in our lives. So, yeah, it was amazing.
In the town hall in Ballina.
Yeah. The Bud Hall in Ballybuffet.
Yes, we thought we were actually, that was as far as you could go in music, that was the big aim, was to sort of go around it was the leftovers of the old show band circuit, really. And it was hilarious because we were a three-piece band, right? You've got to envisage us, and they would have T.R. Dallas the night before with 8 people in it, and they'd want to know where we were going, wanting in at 3 o'clock in the day because we had a lorry load of gear, right? I mean, we lived the lifestyle of, if Rory Gallagher has a lorry load of gear, we'll have a lorry load of gear as well, But the old hall owners couldn't figure out what 3 fellas needed with all this equipment, until they heard us play, and then they usually ran out the door as fast as they could. I don't think we realised at the time there was very few bands actually in Ireland at that particular stage of our career that were actually doing what we were doing, right? We were taking no prisoners at all. It was out and out heavy rock, and for that to happen and go around the circuit in Ireland was strange, because most bands, yes, there was other bands of the same ilk, but they never stepped outside of Dublin or Belfast. They never got outside. So we were actually going to Mayo and to Kerry and to places like that, and actually doing that there, which was very strange, And I mean we were quite a hardcore rock band for that time. It was 3-piece, so it was like a power group, so it was loud and it was heavy for then, So it was quite a thing for a band like us to do what we did, And I don't think we realised at the time it was just a gig to us, and it was. Then we began to set our sights. It's funny, we set our sights on the ballrooms, didn't we?
Yeah.
We thought that was the pinnacle, and then as soon as we got there, we thought, well, this is no great big deal. What else can we do?
After realising they had to move across the water to further their music career, Mama's Boys idols Thin Lizzy also announced their farewell tour, and to the boys' sheer excitement, they were offered a support slot for the 1979 tour.
We went over there and did a few tours with support to various bands like Hawkwind, Wishbone Ash, and we ended up being asked by Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy to do their farewell tour. So that was a real accolade altogether for us.
Yeah, it was an amazing time in our lives, to be honest, because it happened really quite fast as well. And we were huge Thin Lizzy fans, and to be personally invited by Phil to actually go out and do that farewell tour, because at that point, because they had announced it as their farewell tour, they were selling out everywhere. So it was 4 nights at Hammersmith Odeon, 4 nights at Oxford Apollo, Manchester Apollo, and it was just to get that kind of exposure was incredible. Right after the Thin Lizzy tour finished, we actually were able to we sold out 3 nights in London on our own as a headlining act, and that was the kind of the impact that had.
Straight off the back of the Thin Lizzy tour, the band headlined their own gig to a sellout crowd. And much to the amazement of the music industry, this was all without even being signed to a record label.
I don't know how true this is, but I've been told recently that Mama's Boys are the only band who've ever played to 40,000 people at Milton Keynes unsigned. We didn't actually have a record deal. So because everything was going so well for us at that point, we didn't actually really see the reason to have a record deal. Why do we need one? It's actually, everything's working perfectly well as it is.
So we actually ended up doing the Reading Festival, and that was off our own back, which was quite remarkable, and we were self-financing the albums, which no band was doing at that stage. They're all doing it now, but nobody had done it at that stage, because They would go the ordinary channels and they would look for the record deal from the big record company, and then hence the whole publicity thing. But we did that all ourselves, and it was quite remarkable. We would save up the money from the gigs in Ireland and then go into the studio in Dublin and record our stuff. So nobody else was doing that, and it was really opened up a lot of doors for us, because where all the other bands had just got demo tapes and they gave them to the DJs and they just said it's just another demo, because ours arrived in vinyl form, it was an album. They're going, who's these guys that have got an album out? You know, we don't know about this. So it created quite a lot of interest. So it led to us doing the Reading Festival, and from there a bidding war started then.
Two labels that at that time were also starting out. One was Jive Records and the other was Geffen. And the reason that we actually ended up going with Jive at the time was because they had their producer Mutt Lang, who was a big part of that whole setup with Jive, and we kind of been led to believe at one point that we might actually end up working with that producer. So that was why that decision was actually made. But Jive, of course, later went on to become an incredibly successful label, because they signed people like Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and all that afterwards.
Or Kelly. So it was very early days of that there. Yeah. And Mutt Lang was he'd done all the Def Leppard stuff, Billy Ocean, you know, all a hugely successful producer. And we thought maybe by the time the third album came around that we would actually be using him, but it didn't work out that way. So. But having said that, you know, that then allowed us to go to America, because they signed us and we signed with Arista in America.